Hey Reslayers, George here to talk to you about one of our favorite RST sponsors, ButcherBox, and with a message that is coming just in time for the Thanksgiving holiday. You can spend less time stressing out over finding the perfect Thanksgiving entree and more time enjoying the start of the holiday season with ButcherBox. They offer everything from organic chicken and pork raised crate-free to grass-fed and finished beef and wild-caught seafood. Shipping is always free, and you can select your favorite proteins in your box every month, so you can always have your freezer conveniently stocked without having to make a trip to the butcher or the grocery store. I mean, who wants to go do a mayhem shopping trip at this time of year? Not me. Public makes me anxious now. Take the stress out of holiday meal prep with your choice of humanely raised whole turkey, turkey breast, or ham free in your first order. Plus, get $20 off when you go to butcherbox.com/reslayer and enter code RESLAYER at checkout. Sign up today and get ready for your easiest Thanksgiving yet, delivered right to your door. Order by November 19th to guarantee delivery by Thanksgiving. Again, go to butcherbox.com/reslayer and enter code RESLAYER at checkout to get this offer plus $20 off your first box. Happy holidays, critters!
This episode is brought to you by Dragon Ball Legends, the ultimate Dragon Ball experience on your mobile device. Dragon Ball Legends features action-packed anime action RPG gameplay with Goku, Vegeta, Trunks, and all your favorite Dragon Ball characters. Summon your favorite characters from popular Dragon Ball anime series, such as Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball GT to Dragon Ball Super. Fight in real time against friendly or rival Dragon Ball players from across the globe in live PvP battles. Enter ratings matches with your favorite Dragon Ball characters and earn rating points and rewards. Unite with friends to defeat powerful foes in co-op. Dragon Ball Legends features the best anime fighting scenes on your mobile device. And now, Legends Festival is on, so you can get up to 300 free summon tickets. Are you ready? Download Dragon Ball Legends today. Available for free on both iOS and Android devices.
Welcome to the Reslayers Take. I'm George Primavera.
And I'm Nick Williams. You can listen to new episodes of the Reslayers Take every Monday, anywhere you stream podcasts.
Or if you want to listen to the podcast 2 weeks early and uninterrupted by ads, join Beacon at beacon.tv.
Last but certainly not least, if you're enjoying the story, please consider leaving a rating and review. Your feedback might inspire someone new to join this adventure.
Now, without further ado, enjoy the show. Hey everybody, and welcome to this bonus episode for the Reslayers Take. Today, Nick and I are going to be talking to Jasmine Bhullar about Hera and all the crazy stuff that has been happening so far.
We really get into it. As everyone listening along knows, a lot has been happening to Hera. She has made some really awesome and terrifying choices recently, and we get into all of that and a lot more about Jasmine's background as a DM and her streaming and all that stuff, and a lot of just kind of the really interesting reasoning behind picking a character like Hera with that background.
Yeah, Jasmine Bhullar is awesome to talk to, a font of wisdom about Dungeons & Dragons and just storytelling in general. Hope you enjoyed the conversation we have. We get into it big time, and make sure that you subscribe to Beacon to get 2 episodes ahead if you want to really catch up on the story and see where this crazy Season 2 of Reslayers Take is going.
Because, let me tell you, it does not let up. Enjoy the show! Spark something uncommon this holiday with just the right gift from Uncommon Goods.
Friends, the busy holiday season is here, and Uncommon Goods makes it less stressful with incredible hand-picked gifts for everyone on your list, all in one spot.
Gifts that spark joy, wonder, delight, and that it's exactly what I wanted feeling.
Much like a good adventuring party, the people at Uncommon Goods scour the globe for original, handmade, and absolutely remarkable treasures.
My wife has built an incredible backyard vegetable garden, so this year for Christmas, I went on Uncommon Goods and found her a harvest basket that can be engraved with her name on it.
And I found some beautiful wind chimes that look like a stained glass owl. So original and cool. When you shop at Uncommon Goods, you're supporting artists and small independent businesses. Small batch and bespoke just for you. So make sure you shop now before they sell out this season.
And here's the best part. With every purchase you make at Uncommon Goods, they give back $1 to a nonprofit partner of your choice. They've donated more than $3 million to date.
So what are you waiting for? To get 15% off your next gift, go to uncommongoods.com/reslayers. That's uncommongoods.com/reslayers for 15% off. Don't miss out on this limited time offer.
Uncommon Goods. We're all out of the ordinary. Creating really great retail experiences is tough, especially with multiple stores, teams of staff, fulfillment centers, separate workflows. It's a lot. But with Shopify Point of Sale, you can do it all without complexity.
Shopify's point of sale system is a unified command center for your retail business. It brings together in-store and online operations even across 1,000 locations.
Imagine being able to guarantee that shopping is just always convenient. Everything made simpler so customers can shop how and where they want and staff have the tools they need to close the sale every time.
And let's face it, acquiring new customers is expensive. With Shopify POS, you can keep existing shoppers coming back to your stores with consistent, tailored experiences and first-party data that gives marketing teams a competitive edge.
Want more? Check out shopify.com/r/ all lowercase and learn how to create the best retail experience without complexity.
Shopify.com/r/. One more time, that's shopify.com/RSLASH.
Give them a cha-ching. Creating really great retail experiences is tough, especially with multiple stores, teams of staff, fulfillment centers, separate workflows. It's a lot. But with Shopify Point of Sale, you can do it all without complexity.
Shopify's point of sale system is a unified command center for your retail business. It brings together in-store and online operations even across 1,000 locations.
Imagine being able to guarantee that shopping is just always convenient. Everything made simpler so customers can shop how and where they want and staff have the tools they need to close the sale every time.
And let's face it, acquiring new customers is expensive. With Shopify POS, you can keep existing shoppers coming back to your stores with consistent, tailored experiences and first-party data that gives marketing teams a competitive edge.
Want more? Check out shopify.com/r/ all lowercase and learn how to create the best retail experience without complexity.
Shopify.com/r/. One more time, that's shopify.com/RSLASH.
Give them a cha-ching.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us. George and Nick here, and we are joined by the incredible role player behind the character of Heera Agneheart, Jasmine Bhullar. Jasmine, hello.
Hello.
Hey, Jasmine.
Here. Let's chat. Let's get into it. Jasmine, how did we meet you? I think we met you through this project, right?
Yes. I definitely met you when we first started recording RST so many years ago.
Yeah, I know.
Yes.
We had a quick meeting, and then I think we were almost immediately around the table with you.
Yeah.
Yes, but yeah, I think we met in like our first little session 0 kind of thing. Yeah, which is a great way to meet people.
I think technically it would have been the meeting in which Sam and Matt pitched this project, or what it was.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, that's right. And right in the early days, you were like from the get, you were going to play this character, play a character. Didn't know who or what you were going to play. It's been really awesome getting to know you in this context, and we've had a lot of extra time to hang out during this recording, which has been really great.
Before we get into like all the Hera specific stuff, you're a TTRPGer with an extensive resume. What's like, just before we get into like how you came to TTRPG in general, what's like some of the stuff that you've done that we might know of or have heard of?
Yeah, I did the Doom one-shot on Critical Role. My first project was Relics and Rarities. After that, I DM'd a season of Dimension 20 called Coffin Run.
It's a great season.
It was a lot of fun. It was really jokey. Not all ages, though.
Not all ages. That's all right.
Yeah. And then I did Battle for Beyond, which had so many friends that have now been on EXU and stuff like that. I executive produced and DM'd my own TTRPG actual play called This Quest, which is on YouTube.
Yes.
And the D&D Fast channel.
Gorgeously shot. Everything in that looks so beautiful. Just
Yeah.
from a visual perspective, aside from the incredible game that's happening. Yeah, I know.
What? When did you kind of start doing TTRPGs? Like, what was your journey? Did you start when you were young?
I did not start when I was young. I was, I think, more into video games when I was a younger person. My dad was a gamer, and so I played a lot of video games. And then I actually worked at a board game store, and we sold like retro video games. We also ran like Magic the Gathering events and tabletop RPG events. And I was in a store game with the other employees. We all, after watching people play D&D all day, we wanted to play. But my first experience with D&D was not a good one.
Oh, no.
Yeah. I played a character from the Book of Vile Darkness who was inspired by Catwoman.
Cool.
In that she was, but her association was like rats and plague rats.
Fun.
I didn't really understand the morality spectrum. And so my very first day playing with the people at the table, they just didn't want to play with me and they killed my character.
What?
Because,
oh, no.
Yeah.
Because were you just like eviling all over the place?
I didn't have a chance to do anything. I think they just thought I was evil because I was playing this character who was probably pretty evil.
Because the character was genuinely
It was
evil.
an evil?
Yeah,
Oh,
like
God.
she just read as evil because she was commanding hordes of rats, I guess. That might be...
That's like a little off-putting, I guess.
Yeah, I guess that's a little creepy, but nobody had explained to me that like, oh, if you're traveling within a party of like paladins and clerics and lawful good people, you should probably play a character that falls in line with them. There was no such thing as a session zero, and I didn't know that word yet.
Yep.
So our game was actually Mouse Guard because I didn't want to play D&D because in my mind, because I didn't know a lot about it, I thought this is a D&D problem. So I'm going to play the game with cute mice.
Okay.
And so my first actual game was Mouse Guard, and I played that for a while.
That's awesome. I haven't played Mouse Guard, but I've heard really good things about it.
Is it
It's
similar
really
to
fun.
D&D or?
It's a bit different in how it plays, but you do play mice that are a part of the honor guard.
Oh.
Is it kind of like Redwall?
Yes, and so you have a town, and you have to like earn your cape
Cool.
so that you're an
That's really
honored
cute.
member of the guard, and you have like this scent border that protects your town from like really big predators. And so you go on missions that are like repairing the scent border, and
It's like nice kind of cozy missions that are with
Yeah.
high stakes.
Yeah, the stakes are really high, but the combat is always against creatures that are so much bigger than you can't possibly hope to win.
Yeah.
So you try to avoid, I feel like, fighting in that game. You have to be clever because you're just small little mice going
Oh.
about your business.
That's
I
such a
love that.
fun intro into D&D. Did that like color your perception of D&D when you finally made it to Dungeons and Dragons proper, or?
Yes. I was interested in telling those types of stories.
Yeah.
And realized that you can do that with D&D, with any game really. You can kind of tell these stories, and how much of that rests in the hands of like the people at the table deciding that that's the kind of story they want to tell.
Yeah. You're obviously a player in this campaign, but very often you find yourselves in the DM seat. Have you, like, when you DM, what do you carry with you as like your core tenets to like what makes a good story?
I think that when I DM, I think being a player helps in being a good DM. I think there's some people that are forever DMs and there's some people that are forever players, but I think if you can navigate that border, what you'll find is that you discover what you enjoy as a player and what everyone else at the table enjoys as players, and then you can think of that when you're creating the game. I firmly believe the DM is a player too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And-
For sure.
And so I definitely make things that I enjoy. And I think I have a keener eye for communicating to the table that this is the kind of game I'm trying to run, so that they bring characters that can have fun on that type of journey. I actually talked to Brennan about this, and he liked this, I guess, comparison. Because he asked me how much I guide players during character creation, and I found that I actually guide them quite a bit, because in my mind, it's like I'm taking you on a vacation, but I would tell you whether you should pack a jacket or whether you should pack a swimsuit.
Oh, that's great. That's
Totally.
a great analogy.
I love that.
That's fun.
I want to make
Yeah.
sure you have what you need in your luggage. It's still a surprise, but if you're packing a winter jacket and I know that we're going to the beach, I'm going to warn you that you might want to bring a sun hat instead.
I think that's so great. I mean, I think that it is true that, like your first ever playing experience, like that, coming in with what you think is a great idea and then having it be kind of an incongruous piece to the party is hard. It's hard to like, it makes it an uphill battle instead of it just being like a fun composition of people. But I think that's such a great analogy. I love that so much. When you were coming in, let's get into like a little bit of Reslayer stuff. When you were coming in and building your character for this, I think you had kind of carte blanche from us to pick anything within the realm of Exandria with like that kind of, avoiding anything too gruesome, although we do have a blood hunter. But what was kind of your initial inspiration for Hera?
It's kind of embarrassing, but Batman.
Hey, that's
It's a great rogue inspiration no matter what.
Yeah. I knew that this was going to be an all ages show, and I was really excited because I love, even though my content on Twitch and YouTube is not all ages, I actually love creating content with and for kids. And back in college, I used to be a part of this program called Geek Girls, and we would go to like high schools and middle schools and set up science experiments to try to help young girls get interested in STEM because
awesome.
there's not a lot of women in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And that was also my first job when I moved here from India, was like tutoring in a high school, and I tutored AP chemistry and AP physics. And so I've always liked working with young people. That was my favorite part of working at the board game store, was like less so adults, but more so like teaching kids how to play Magic the Gathering and seeing like that light up in them when the mechanics start to click, and seeing how excited they would be to show me their commander decks or whatever they made. It was my favorite. So when I was making Hera, I thought about what I enjoyed, and Batman Beyond was my whole personality when I was a kid.
Great show.
It was the only thing I cared about was Batman Beyond. And Terry McGinnis was probably, my first crush, and I wanted to play that character that's a little edgy and has a little bit of an attitude problem, but probably underneath it all means well, but is also very cool.
Yeah.
Batman Beyond is such a specific version of Batman that's also a little stinker.
Yes.
He's
Yes.
got a little bit of a mean streak in him. Very funny.
Yeah.
Yes.
We see plenty of that in Hera, where you're like hyper competent, really observant, and then at the same time you have some hard opinions about things that are rooted in like a pretty mysterious and tumultuous past too.
For sure.
Which is definitely a Terry McGinnis 1-to-1.
Yeah.
When you were deciding like the motivation of like what Hera's whole thing would be, where does that inspiration come from? Like her origin?
Some of that is like inspired by my dad's upbringing of kind of not having the most money, growing up on a farm and having big, big, big dreams. I've seen the village that my dad grew up in, and when he tells me stories of his life, I'm always blown away by how he had one pair of shoes and I have so many, and like how hard him and my mom must have worked to, make sure that I had a different upbringing than them. But it also, in my mind, explains why so many, especially Punjabi people in California, work so hard, is for a better life. And I wanted Hera to be like that she's less in it to be a noble adventurer, and she's more so trying to build some kind of life to make it easier for other people from Marquette or for other tieflings, or maybe even like her kids in the future, her hypothetical kids. I think she just wants to make life easier for them, and that's where a lot of her hustle comes from.
Yeah. It kind of coincides with like both Hera's attraction to animals, like being there for animals in like a parental kind of way, and also that that's sort of like a fun Venn diagram of like this like farm life that you're talking about being sort of not, I don't know if nostalgic would be the right word, but honoring.
Yeah.
It sort of. Less of
Yeah.
it being more of a memory and more of like an idea that you really respect. And you bring that to the character, but also this element of like wanting to care for things that are in that animal camp for Hera. Because I think for Hera specifically, am I right in saying that there's some trust issues there for Hera?
Oh yeah, I think Hera likes animals more than people, and
Me too.
yeah, I think she understands them a little bit better.
Yeah.
I don't think she has very good social skills, and to be fair, sometimes I don't think I have good social skills, but
That's not true.
I feel like animals can always like this is Jasmine getting emotional. I feel like animals can always see through to your soul.
Yeah.
Totally.
Like I tend to like not like people that like my dog wouldn't like, or like I tend to have this vibe of like, well, what does he know about you that I'm not picking up on?
What's he seeing?
He smells something stinky about your personality.
Yeah,
Something's
yeah.
wrong here.
And so I don't know, there's something pure about animals that I think Hera feels like. Hera knows that they can still be dangerous, but I think in her mind it's like it's not personal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If a cat scratches you, it's probably my fault. I probably didn't do the right thing with the cat. Whereas with people, I think she feels like it's personal and she doesn't want to set herself up for hurt or failure.
Yeah. We're getting now, on the podcast, people will have just heard everything kind of starting to roll out with your pact. What was kind of like you brought us the idea of this like pact initially and taking Warlock levels. What kind of is the inspiration behind that? I know you've talked about with us how it's kind of attached to your like the family history and all that, kind of unpacking that for Hera. But like now that we're kind of getting into all of that, what's it like? What kind of inspires that for you? What sparks there?
It's funny because when I made the character, I definitely didn't think she would have a pact or anything like that, but it kind of came up in play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In my mind, I always knew that she relies on her tiefling heritage a lot to do her roguey things, to make things dark and to distract people. She's not your typical rogue in how she operates, but I think when I didn't realize how creepy it was until we recorded with Dom, where I was like, oh, this is actually kind of off-putting. She is veering so close to Batman in the sense of like, she does probably aim to inspire fear in people she's creeping up on. And the things about her that are normal, that's like in her tiefling heritage, can be off-putting to people.
Totally.
And I think that's kind of where the idea of a pact came from, of like the things you inherit. Because when you level up, I personally, maybe this is being mean to her, I didn't feel like she had earned a level up in Rogue. I didn't feel like she had learned anything from the party because she hadn't had a huge loss yet.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, she had kind of excelled in battle until that point, and she'd kind of been on top of her A game. It took some bumps and cuts, but I never felt like she had really felt like, oh yeah, I'm learning how to be a better rogue. But I did feel like she was learning how to be a better tiefling and sort of go into this magic.
Yeah.
I do feel like Hera's journey was kind of like leaning more and more into her magic abilities, kind of as it went, which was really, especially because when your like weapon started to upgrade and you got like that kind of fire stuff, I feel like Hera, the character, was like, this is perfect. I will just dovetail this right into all of my abilities, and like that's the thing. And you're totally right that it is very on the money for like that's what she's learning about is that magic, not about necessarily about being sneakier or like stealthier.
Yeah, that teleportation fire aura that your weapon creates is very reminiscent of your hellish rebuke when you get hit and you point it right back at them and burst them into flames.
Yeah.
And we obviously saw all of this crazy, infernal. I'm trying to say some without giving too much away, but all of the, the massive fire in that chamber with the Death Cloud troll, that left Hera unscathed, there's clearly more fire in her pact that is yet to be sort of uncovered as to where it's actually all coming from.
Yeah.
What's your favorite thing about Hera? Is it the roguish or is it the warlock? What do you, or even if that changes, like what's your favorite now?
I think it's still her roguish nature because even this pact, it's not really, she chose it, but she was running.
Yeah.
Like, I think she is a rogue in the sense that she runs away from her problems. She runs away from her problems with her family. She avoids her problems with other people. And I don't see her as like this slick, backstabbing swashbuckler. I see her as someone that's quiet, observant, and sort of plays her cards and plays chess with everyone to make sure that things always go her way, so she doesn't actually ever have to grow or have difficult conversations. So I think her being a rogue makes so much sense for her. Like, she's very good at disengaging. Like, I think it's that part of it that I really like.
It's, well, especially, I feel like, you know, I Inquisitive Rogue is so great, which is your subclass. But I feel like you play it so beautifully with Inquisitive, because I feel like a lot of people use Inquisitive to kind of like optimize the combat or do that kind of stuff. And I feel like you really use those elements for the role play, where it's like, you know, Hera doesn't want to get into a weird conversation she can't get out of, and she doesn't want to be backed into a corner. And so much of like your kind of analyzing people and how they act is so like preemptive in a lot of times, to be like, I want to get ahead of this so that I don't get like pinned down in any way.
I think that's why Warlock fits for her too, because like she's not a wizard. She's not. I did toy with the idea of a paladin, but I was like, she hasn't made a commitment to anything. You know, like everything that has happened to her has happened to her.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. We've kind of come with this, we're finding revelations more and more about how, you know, we've seen a little bit of your mother at this point, whether that's in like the visions that Osisa showed you or in the flashes in mirrors that Hera is seeing. So we have a lot of your past like coming back to your present day self in Hera. Is that something Hera is excited to learn more about, or would you say you're running even further from it now?
I think she's running even further from it now. I think before she was part of the Reslayer's take because it was a job and it made sense, and she definitely cares about everyone else in the party, but I think she's also like, we're coworkers.
Yeah.
And
this is still a job.
I think that matches up with Pharaoh a lot too, who's very much like, what's the pay situation like? Because they're both very practical and very much like, we have bills to pay. And so I think to her it was like a good job with benefits, but now she can become a workaholic, and I think we're seeing more and more of that from her, where she's like, what's next? What are we doing next? Because I think she's afraid if she stands still, it's all going to catch up with her.
Totally.
And she wants to just work 60 hours a week and reslay everything and make her money and probably never go back to Vasselheim and never have a fixed address and just take this show on the road.
Just be wandering forever. Yeah, never have to address any of these problems.
Yeah.
We get like a pretty rock solid taste of that when you just recently in this past episode like bring up to the party that you guys might be a little bit out of your depth. We kind of see like a flash. You don't really portray it as fear, but there's a root of fear in there where it's like this guy Heldwell maybe has one up on us is like sort of your whole point there, right?
I think Hera's afraid all the time.
Yeah.
And that's why she uses it as a tool. Once again, it goes back to Batman. Like, I think she is afraid all the time. And because she understands fear so well, I think she knows how to use it against people. We kind of saw that in the magma land shark fight.
Yeah.
I think in her mind, it's like she would stop dead in her tracks if confronted with her phobia. So she knows how to use that against her enemies, which comes back into the inquisitive thing of her trying to identify what scares people so she can use it against them.
As a player, you're just also extremely good at using some of those spells in a really narrative context that's completely undeniable.
God, can we talk about the using thaumaturgy to make an underground river above the land
Make
shark?
the sound of one?
It's so incredible. Never in a million years would I have thought to do that, but it's such a great use of it. And
It's such a cool thing with like the fact that like the Magma Bulet's using tremor sense.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
thaumaturgy is so specifically like creating vibrations that sound and feel like something. Yeah, that was a very, very cool moment.
What are your kind of hopes for Hera moving forward? Like if we, kind of cut down way down the line for Hera, assuming kind of the surface goals are all accomplished, what do you hope for her?
I hope she starts taking more action. I hope it's like more decision based. It hasn't felt right so far, but I can't wait until the character figures out like, yeah, I'm gonna either full send in one direction, not to be too, not to be too on the nose with it, or the other direction.
Yeah.
And kind of sort of redeem herself and her family. I think right now she's too afraid to do either.
Yeah.
But I think that's also how a lot of us feel. I think it's relatable. Sometimes the biggest decisions in our life happen because we had no other choice, and we make the best of the situation. And I definitely like playing a character that is so vulnerable that does kind of go with it because she's too afraid to be, I guess, subversive or to rock the boat. I think she's afraid to ask for help. And she's with people that if she told them what was happening would immediately say, okay, well, let's fix this. And I think in her head, she knows that they can't, that this is too big for them and that they're too small for this. So she doesn't want to ask them because it would also mean she has to confront this problem. I think in some ways, Hera cares about Frog, but I think the reason Hera doesn't like Frog is Frog moves forward so bravely towards everything. And I think there's a part of her that is maybe bitter or upset about that, in the sense of like, why would you want to know about your past? And why are you so brave, eager to go and recover your memories? Maybe it's a good thing you don't have them. Or, every time you track down a piece of yourself, like, that something bad could happen and you're just charging forward so bravely into it. And I think it forces her to be brave.
Yeah, and to confront, like, why am I not doing that same thing in my life?
Yeah, I think she feels called out just by
watching somebody live by example, sort of.
I think it also gives voice to her anxiety, which I think is something that's kind of missing from a lot of all ages media, is like kids have, I had childhood anxiety.
Yeah.
And so the way Frog writes everything down, I think she feels like scared sometimes of like, why are you writing this down? Like, you're writing everything down. Because Hera, I think she avoids a lot of details about her family, and she definitely wouldn't write it down. And I think she also feels self-conscious of like how she's being drawn or how she's being written down in this journal.
How am I coming across?
Every bad moral decision they make is going to be
recorded.
Immortalized.
Oh,
and I think she's the type of person that likes to forget about it.
Yeah.
And so I think she does feel confronted of like, hey, if you do something bad, Frog's going to write it down and it's going to live there forever. You don't get to run away from it. It's going to follow you in that journal.
It's so fun too because I think that Frog would probably tear up a page if you told her to, but you can't. Like,
No.
that's
that
part
would
of
be
it.
admitting that you're anxious, therefore revealing a vulnerability.
Yeah.
Oh my
It's like,
goodness.
it's such an incredible cycle for a character to be like so strong because they're so vulnerable. It's like I've built up these like incredible armors.
Yeah, I think she just doesn't think about things all the way through all the time because she's always running. So she is the type to grab an egg, and she doesn't think about what's going to happen in 3 weeks because she's going to keep moving, and it's hard to hit a moving target.
Yeah.
What's been like, just to wrap up today, what's been like some of your favorite moments for Hera in the past couple of episodes, or just in the past of what we've done so far? Is there any like thing that sticks out in your mind as like, that's a Hera moment?
Honestly, I think the breakdown.
Yeah. Well, we'll get there too.
Yeah, I think that's coming.
That's coming. We'll get to that breakdown in a little bit. The one of the biggest things that it has just happened to you as we go into our next episodes is we have this horrible dream where Timpani hits you with that Devastator line. And I think when you're talking about Hera having like these vulnerability issues, we see Hera just the fraction, like the tiniest bit vulnerable for 1 second.
Yeah.
And what happens?
It gets thrown back in her face.
In
and
like
I think
the worst way.
And I think now she's doubled down because sometimes our friends do horrible things to us in our dreams, and we logically know that that's not real. But you
feel it.
You feel an undercurrent when you're like, you stole this from me in our dreams, or you left on that airplane without me. I have a lot of like zombie
You get
dreams.
left at the gate.
How dare you leave me?
Yeah, and I've had people leave me, and I'm like, I can't believe you left without me, and they're like, that was just a dream, Jasmine.
Oh my gosh.
So I think like it's fun to play Hera this way, where she's like, oh, that wasn't timpani. But once you see that malice in someone's face, I think like it's kind of haunting her. I think that like evil glint behind Timpani's eyes.
Oh.
I think she's afraid that something darker is dwelling there.
Well, and I think that's exactly what, without getting too into it, like that's exactly what the patron of your pact wants, right? It's like that is like a perfect...
You're much easier to manipulate if you have nobody to bounce off your feelings, so the more isolated you are.
And I think even Farrah's saying that no one gives you something for nothing, and I think now all of these things are kind of coalescing on her shoulders.
I know. Isn't that so funny how you have like Frog on one side, who's just ultimate vulnerable, completely open, and then you have Farrah on the other side, like an angel and a devil on your shoulder being like, don't trust anything, be paranoid about everything, everyone's trying to get one over on you. And you have learn everything about everyone and try to understand everyone.
Yeah.
You guys really have an incredible spectrum. And that you guys have figured out role-playing that is like such an amazing, like full rainbow of like life experience. It's really amazing to watch.
I think even with like Idrin going back to take care of his people and his business, I think like in some sense Hera knows that she was maybe supposed to do that. Like she hasn't been home in a while, but she doesn't want to know. And now knowing what she knows, she really she does not want to know
really
what's
doesn't want
happening
to
with
touch
her
it.
siblings. Yeah. It's like it's basically the equivalent of like going off for college. And maybe you used to visit once a year during the holidays, and now she hasn't, and she doesn't ever want to.
Yeah.
But she sees everyone else being so bold about it, and I think that's made her retreat into Farrah's friendship even more, which is hard because Farrah is not exactly eager for friendship.
Yeah, definitely. Got it. Well, I can't wait for people to hear more about what is happening with Hera and as the story unfolds.
Yeah.
Where can people find you, Jasmine, out in the world?
Yeah, of course. I stream on Twitch regularly. I make content on YouTube. I'm everywhere as that bronze girl. You know the one.
We know the one.
We know the one.
know the
We
one.
certainly know the one.
We know the one. Well, thank you so much, Bronze, for coming on.
Thank you. This was so much fun.
And this was so much fun having you and talking about Hera. Such an incredible character and so fun to play with you at the table. It's just a blast. And that'll just about do us, I think.
Yeah, we'll see you guys in the next episode of Reslayer's Take. Goodbye.
All right, well, that'll just about do us. Thank you so much for listening. If you liked hearing us talk about the Reslayer's Take, then make sure to tune in next week and find out what happens next in the story.
And if you don't want to miss it, be sure to follow the show wherever you listen to any podcast. Thank you again, and we will see you next time. The Reslayer's Take is a Metapigeon production in partnership with and distributed by Critical Role Productions, developed in association with Hero Club.